So let's move on to our next session where we will be talking about building new India. So we have had the setting of this topic from our veteran leaders. Now we are talking about driving innovation and technology in real estate. And we have two very wonderful speakers with us today. Let me introduce Mr. Piyush Gupta, Managing Director, Capital Markets and Investment Services, Colliers. With close to 20 years of experience, Piyush is an industry veteran with proven expertise in real estate investments, asset management, and exit strategy, deployment, and business development. He leads the client acquisition, developing institutional relationships with Indian and global funds, sovereign funds, bank NBFCs, AIFs for capital market businesses. Quite a lot to handle, Piyush, I think, on your plate. Introducing our next speaker, let me introduce Mr. Darshan Govindaraju, Director, Vaishnavi Group. Again, a young leader who's spearheading the residential sales, marketing, CRM, and the rapid expansion of Vaishnavi's commercial portfolio. He's starting Vaishnavi's growth story and has been instrumental in building and maintaining investor confidence, enhancing customer experience, driving new projects, and the development of brand Vaishnavi. He has incorporated technology and built internal capabilities, equipping the organization for growth.
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Sapna. Thanks, Realty Plus, for inviting me. It's always been a pleasure to be part of Realty Plus discussion conferences and have a privilege to be part for many, many years across cities. A very good afternoon to all the audience. Good afternoon to Darshan and Yash, to join in. I think we have a very interesting, discussion, on innovation and technology. And if at all we see the way industry, Darshan is kind of moving, he's been a huge transformation, whether it's from a regulatory standpoint, technology, the way the business models are evolving. There's innovation at each and every stage. And what changes we are seeing in last 5, 6, 7 years, right, and more so after COVID, has been a transformational change, which possibly we have not seen that for generations. So maybe we can just talk about today some of the newer technologies, which possibly we are seeing which are kind of transforming the entire, ecosystem of real estate. So maybe to start with, maybe we can start with some data analytics. Right. I think this is one space, where we have a lot of newer business models around prop tech, commercial real estate tech. There's a lot of information on pricing, trends, demographics, right? From your perspective, how do you see, you kind of use the technology platform to get the best of data analytics and use for the business? You're on mute, Darshan.
Thank you for that. Good afternoon, Piyush. Good afternoon, fellow panelists and Realty Plus team. Firstly, thank you for having us. As Piyush mentioned, it's a great opportunity for us to all interact, collaborate, and learn on the common platform. And today we have a very interesting topic, a relevant topic today on hands today, which we look forward to discussing along with Piyush and our other panelists. So with regard to data analytics, Piyush, what I feel is today it is a buyer-driven market, which means that we cannot impose our views, our learnings from our various projects, etc., onto a particular micro market or buyer set, etc. So what this in turn means is that we have to dig down when you identify a piece of land, dig down into what is actually selling there. And as Mr. Sanjay was mentioning earlier, all real estate developers are very cutthroat and probably are not forthcoming with information sharing. So what we have to really depend on are the analytics coming from various third-party institutions and our own research on ground. So to find out what exactly is moving, what typology of unit moves, is an apartment the right fit for that market, or is it a villa or a row house? Or is there more money to be made and quicker than a multi-development project? So all these factors are important before getting into hitting the ground and beginning construction or the thought process of a project. So what we've realized is there are a lot of third-party agencies that are able to furnish data with regard to various pricing structures that are operating in the market, the typologies of units, etc. we believe from our experience, we see that these platforms are probably 80% accurate in terms of the pricing information that they reveal. But more importantly, what it gives us data about is transactional volume. So by studying this transaction volume, one can understand as to what is the right product fit for a particular micro market. So I think studying the market is extensively important before jumping into the drawing board to conceptualize a product, which I think most developers are doing today, whereas wasn't the case maybe 10, 15 years ago, where real estate was still booming. And any developer launching a particular project from a reputed name used to get sold out within minutes. Today, customers are equally informed, or probably more informed than the developers themselves as to what's happening in and around the market. One comes to the site having studied the developer, what the competitors around are doing. So today, the customer is a lot more informed, which puts a lot of responsibility back on the developer to offer their best, put their best foot forward and offer the best product in the market, which would come only by virtue of studying all the data that is available from various platforms.
Yeah, no, Darshan, absolutely. I think the technology, I think, has brought in a lot of transparency, in the overall, ecosystem. Today, what customer has, and maybe through developers like you all, you get all the data, whether what's selling, what is not selling, what kind of product preferences, people have, and there is no blind spot in terms of product planning and design, right? I think by and large, 80% you would know that this is what product will possibly sell in next 2 or 3 years time, right? And maybe, if you see a decade back, it was just, a call sitting in one of the AC rooms to decide. So, and even from a customer perspective, today, from a click of a button, you have all the data available. No one can now fool the customer saying that, okay, my 80% inventory is sold, or I'm selling at this price. One is the RERA and all those things, and even the entire platforms are kind of bringing it together. So yes, I think it's been a great thing to kind of get transparency. Apart from obviously product planning, design, all those is definitely helping. Yeah. So if at all we look at the other aspects of technology and something which kind of enables in different processes, or say for selling, how using something like a virtual reality or an augmented reality, what we've been hearing, there are a lot of startups, and maybe this is more prevalent in the Western world, but kind of doing a property tour, which looks as virtual as you are right in front of the property, and the buyers kind of taking decisions. So how you see the entire experience of selling, is helping, and more so selling any product anywhere in the world. You think we have not almost evolved, or we think that there's still a lot of room to cover when we kind of get there?
Piyush, I think you've asked a very relevant question today, because sorry, was my voice echoing?
Yeah, no, we can hear you.
Sorry, yeah. It's a very relevant question today, because what we realize is the first touch point for most customers today is through the online channel. No customer, like I mentioned before, no customer comes to site blindsided. They have all the data available to them, whether on the company website, whether through a channel partner, whether through Magic Bricks or 99 Acres, etc. So most people are doing their research and before coming to site. So on AR and VR, coming to that is a big enabler for a business. I read a report which said that in 2021, 67% of home buyers used to research their property online. That figure jumped to 80%. And in 2022, and I'm assuming it'll be a lot higher, nearing probably 100% as we go further down with technological innovation just taking such a big stride forward. AR and VR are definitely important tools in the selling component. The technology has really gotten exceptional over the years. Whereas you would have needed specialized equipment to do AR and VR planning. You need special headsets, etc. Now it's all available, or you can do it on your iPhone or Samsung phones. Those technologies are embedded into those phones. So people can actually, by virtue of installing, having that software, are able to get a real life feeling or experience of a particular space without necessarily having to be there physically. So this helps with a lot, because today, let me just refer to Bangalore, traffic's a nightmare. The most visits are restricted to the weekends. Is what it's usually the trend. I mean, it's usually a lot more crowded over the weekends than over the weekdays. So by having this AR and VR as embedded links onto your selling platform, a customer can do that at their whim or wish, whereas they can probably on a Wednesday night get a feel of the space through the software, and probably spend lesser time at site when they actually visit, because they got a good sense of it through the software. And this is very accurate to a great degree. So the difference, even over the past 3-4 years, the jump in technology, the improvements in technology have been vast. So that gives a great sense. It gives you almost realistic or real to life feel of a particular space. So that's one thing. And it also enables NRI customers of ours to be able to visualize the space again, whereas especially in for the investors, they don't necessarily have to visit a place, whereas they'll have their friends take a look, and then they can also get a feel of the space, not just through a video shared by their family or friends. They also get a feel of the space through these various technologies, Piyush.
And as a trend, do you see actually your conversions, right? People actually buying, somewhere, someone sitting in Dubai or someone, in New York, basis technology, seeing virtually and actually getting them. You think that a trend happening, or you think at least that maybe is a first step, and then, the visits are still really, really important. Visits are important. But is there a trend to see that even conversions are happening just basis of AR, VR?
I would definitely say, I would not conclude that they are happening because of AR, VR, but I would say AR, VR are enablers to closing a transaction. So, like I said, they will probably still have their families or friends visit the property in case they're not able to visit, but it enables them to take their decision a lot quicker. So it helps with closing, a faster closure of a sales process, and probably a good amount of convincing as well in terms of allowing a person to visualize the space.
And whether it's
one more thing, and another aspect of AR VR where it is a lot more helpful in terms of interior planning. So a lot of interior companies today, you can just scan a room and they will allow you to place their product, a sofa or a mattress, a bed or wardrobe in that particular space, and you can actually visualize how your interior feel will come out, and probably tweak with the colors, customize it a bit. All those kinds of fancy things which really help in the purchase decision of a product, of an apartment or villa eventually, because you're no longer shooting in the dark. You can actually, before buying into a real estate product, you can actually visualize how the end product is going to look for you. So that again is an enabler by allowing many companies, such as I think the likes of LiveSpace, etc., doing it, where you can actually place a product after scanning the room there to see how it fits. It's actually great technology that in the end enables developers such as ourselves to piggyback on this technology and help sell more or help the sale process rather.
Yeah. So interesting, Darshan, on these newer concepts. From a developer perspective, do you see, developers also kind of investing in these, kind of technology, either to build their own platforms, or maybe support some other startups who could be doing it? We have seen some investors doing it, like some investors who are, large investors, like an HDFC, for example, one of the largest investors, over 4 decades. Now they have a fund which is investing in more technology driven, companies for real estate. You think even developers possibly now to integrate the business, even a great amount of investment will also go towards developing their own technology?
I believe that for developers such as ourselves, it's best to allow the experts to do their work and piggyback off of what technology, because our strength does not lie in technology development per se. What we can do is observe what the new prop tech companies in the market are doing. Like, as you rightly mentioned, the likes of HDFC and other institutions are heavily investing in prop tech over the past 5 to 7 years. So for us, we tend to observe that trend to see where the big companies are investing into, and then to see what kind of sustainable technology product these companies are doing, and will that be the right fit for a developer like us? Because again, we have to bite with caution, because not all technologies are applicable to all kinds of developers. We got to pick and choose the kind of products or solutions that work for you. For example, as much as people like automation today, it is not a one size fits all kind of solution. Some people in the same community, you would want some customers wanting to do the entire house automation, whereas some will say we'll just take the automation for ACs and the blinds. So it's not one size fits all. We have to probably tweak it to the nature of the product and to see what holistically supports a customer within a particular project, Piyush.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to, always keep evolving, and no one size can definitely, fit all. Now, even, what we are seeing, Darshan, is even in the conventional areas of business, the technology has kind of clearly ruling it over. And let's maybe take example of financing. The kind of the models which are evolving, like the fractional ownership, right? This all is driven from technology that the platforms could enable investors to kind of invest in, and kind of make platforms for the investees also to come there, and you kind of make both the sides meet. Beyond to look at marketing and design and planning in the conventional part of business, which was always like a brick and mortar did the old ways, that also has been, fairly great amount driven from technology. So you think even from, say, raising capital or even project management, like we're seeing robotics, I think is playing an important role, from some of the large, good project management companies using that. Is there a good trade-off from a cost perspective?
So Piyush, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take your question and open it up a bit. Like you mentioned all the aspects. You mentioned finance. I will come to that eventually. But what we're seeing is the introduction of technology across all aspects of the real estate cycle, whether that be in terms of identifying a piece of land, whether that be in the design phase, post-construction, even the construction phase, and the sales and maintenance and marketing of a product post that. So I just joined the conversation a bit early, and Mr. Sanjay was mentioning where drones are able to conduct the surveys of land, which hitherto was a very manual process where surveys used to go the physical site, whether it be 100 acres, 20 acres, 2 acres, or 20,000 square feet, and physically conduct the surveys of the land. But today, the drone technology has gone so good where you just fly the drone over a piece of land. It's able to chalk out to the accuracy of maybe a centimeter, or even less than that, I believe, the extent of land and even the contours of the land, which helps it bring it onto a design table at a much more fleshed out version than probably the physical surveys would have to do, because then you have to physically do a soil stability report, etc., to get all those details. So that even in the conceptualization stage, technology has enabled a lot more faster and accurate kind of information available to us to then be able to take a decision. So pre-construction, there are various building information modeling softwares, which is basically a digital representation of a physical asset, which brings up all the stakeholders, whether that be an architect, the developer themselves, the internal teams of the developers, structural consultants, or even MEP consultants, all onto a common platform where everyone's work feeds off of each other's. If the structural consultant is proposing something or the MEP consultant is doing something, the exact effect that will have on a particular product. So you can engineer a project to such a level that even the last screw is planned. So once the designs and plans are frozen, those are sacrosanct, and we will not have the perennial issue of consultants coming in midway through a project and saying, no, this is not the right way, let's do it this way.
Yeah.
None of those disruptions. But if you were to implement a BIM software, BIM software, all these problems could be assuaged much in advance, and you can have foresight as to what you're building much before the project takes off on the ground. In terms when it comes to construction, I think precast construction is something that is of immense value in the country today. That is has not been utilized to its greatest potential, but there are plenty of benefits of precast construction. Whereas precast it's not over designed, so it's engineered to the right amount. So human intervention, or people are usually skeptical sometimes about when conventional construction, they over design just so that there is no risk thereafter. But many of the buildings are over designed with more concrete being poured in, more cement being used, more structural steel being used. Whereas you get into BIM modeling and then precast construction, all the wastage rather can be minimized. There's lesser water being used in precast for the precast construction, lesser debris and noise pollution at site. So there are a lot of environmental advantages to precast construction, other than the fact that it is immensely faster than conventional construction, ideally, under ideal circumstances. And yeah, that's basically about precast construction. You mentioned project updates, right? So the same drone technology can be used over the lifetime of project, where it captures images and videos of a particular project from a heightened level, and it's able to relay that onto the CAD drawings, which are available, which are fed into the system. So if you're working remotely, you can attend to a project maybe that day. You have an actual update of what is going on, not just a video photo update, but a layup of the work completed versus the schedule. So that gives you an accurate representation of how construction is happening at site. So again, drone technology has been a big enabler for construction management and planning as well. So finance, you did mention fractional ownership. I think fractional ownership and REITs have been some of the best things to happen to real estate investors in India. It's really democratized the whole investment system, whereas the ticket sizes have come down drastically and affordability has gone up, where even a person who would not be able to buy a portion of a space in a building, whether that be access to this information, access to the sale, or even a budget, today is able to purchase and own portions of a floor or units of a REIT, which is really great to see, because Indians in general love to invest in real estate. And hitherto, if you were not able to invest in a home, a plot, an apartment, etc., commercial real estate yields are far greater than residential investment yields as we stand today. So for people to be able to exploit that is actually a great sign for the industry and the market in general. And so it's also given real estate companies more ways to raise money because you have more fractional ownership companies buy out more floor plates, which they're able to sell. So it opens up a new customer or a new kind of investor for real estate companies who are looking to start or sell the particular space, for example. So it is very heartening to see different modes of finance being enabled by technology today.
No, absolutely, Darshan. I think so. The business models are really evolving well, and I think so. One space, I think we are seeing huge amount of growth in the entire shared space or shared living models, right? Whether it's co-working, co-living, student housing, and the one point generally which comes across is that residential does not give you good yields. That's a reality. The India's demographic dynamics are that way. But with the entire shared living concept and the managed residential space, right, the yields, definitely there's a clear bump up, and hence we have so many models, we have so many investors who are investing in the entire shared spaces model. You think that itself now, so from a you develop perspective, is that another as an asset class is part of your plan and part of a think tank before now you kind of take a call to design and plan your product?
Definitely, Piyush. I think with the influx of various co-living or co-working or managed office space players, let's first talk about that. What's happened is the model that the co-working or managed office space product has changed. It used to, when the early players came in, it used to be more centered around freelancers who used to come in, give a nice feel of the space and different working experience, etc. But now they focused more on enterprise clients with a larger uptake of space, 50 to 100 seats on a minimum, or those kind of. So the model has really evolved over time. And I think it's stabilizing to something which can generate a lot higher returns for a co-working or managed office space player today. So it's heartening to see that over the course of maybe the 8 to 10 years, we've seen all those, we've seen some consolidation in the market where there are a few big names doing most of these transactions, and which is heartening to see, because at the end of the day, those ones who will stay and probably be a tenant, give you more business, etc. So co-working is also very interesting. It took off in a big way prior to COVID. But what we saw was a big dip in this model post-COVID, because people who were on the fence during that time seemed to take the leap into property ownership instead of using this kind of model for their habitation purposes. But we've seen a resurgence in this model as well over the past 2-3 years. There has again been a shift in the operating model. People, co-working operators are no longer co-living operators are no longer necessarily investing into the fit out of a space. They are basically tying up with the landowners or owner of the property, asking them to invest money into the product, and then doing the revenue there with them by maintaining the property as well. So they go in capex light as well, which honestly helps with their business operations and makes them more agile, and not really locked into one property. Now they can focus their strengths into expanding and working with various other owners, and instead of putting money into one asset and making it waiting for it to yield a profit. And by virtue of this, their returns returns for the owners also, I believe, have gone up over commercial real estate returns in some prime properties. So it's interesting because we have residential yields, we have commercial real estate yields, and then we have co-living yields as well. So it's good to study all these before, and it's heartening to see as a developer, because there are various models for us to explore before fitting in on the right product for a particular micro market or location.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This definitely, I think it's a win-win for all, for developers, for investors, and also ultimately the final customers. They have optionalities, and student housing is one space. Senior citizens, housing. Senior citizen housing need not be possibly, for example, at outskirts of city. Now it's being planned as part of the larger township or one block, with a city centric, right? So I think it's kind of creating a win-win, an environment for all. Now, another aspect, is everything has become very customer centric, and the entire thing of ESG, being good to the environment, carbon neutral, social angle, and also governance. Earlier we were talking about certification, say for an office building, on whether it's gold or LEED. Now we talk about wellness, right? So it's all about focus how we can keep the final person who is using the space happy, right? So how do you see this transformation, and how much more effort developers like you all are now putting in, to see the final customer in mind, whether it's designing of office space or is for residential buildings?
You're absolutely right, Piyush. Earlier, the target still remains to get an IGBC gold or platinum or a LEED certification for each building. That goes without saying, because again, it also leads to long-term efficiencies or optimizations in the operating cost of a particular building. But as you mentioned, wellness has become a very prominent factor in the design process today, whether it be in apartments, which is definitely a factor, because customers today want all the amenities, all the sporting activities within a project, all or they want a crash, they want a banquet space, they want a library, they want a reading room, etc., which the developer strives to provide to the customer. Because at the end of the day, customers in an apartment society don't want to live in isolation. They all want to probably congregate a lot more within the communities and have all these offerings for them. With regard to commercial buildings, hitherto we were not really, the focus was not on providing all these wellness facilities. It was more on optimizing the floor plate efficiency, getting that to the highest degree, whereas that would be of benefit to the end tenant, because for them, they could pack in more people on a particular floor, etc. But now even the occupiers are moving away from that mindset. There's a lot more focus on wellness, a lot more open areas. People are asking for maybe like an outdoor area for them to have kind of some kind of sporting activities. So all these are being planned within parks and open spaces portion of the development. So it is happening to see, and a lot more breakout spaces within office space floors as well. Whereas the density has come down, density per square foot of occupiers, putting their team members onto the floor. And yeah, it's basically a lot more focus on wellness, and that has also resulted in an optimization in the design philosophy behind designing commercial and residential spaces over the past few years.
Yeah, well, absolutely, Darshan. And I think I think that the mindset in the overall ecosystem has changed from all these things from good to have to must have. I think that has created a very positive difference. I think Darshan, we are possibly short of time. Maybe we may just request Sapna, if at all we have any questions from the audience, or if you would like to ask any question.
Yes, we
Darshan.
have quite a lot of questions, and in fact, this gives
Yeah.
us an opportunity to take quite a few of them. But before that, Piyush, you have been in touch with a lot of industry stakeholders, developers. You are in that position. In terms of innovation and technology, what is the scenario you are seeing?
No, I think Sapna, there's a intent and the action to invest directly in technology. We are seeing developers themselves kind of building platforms, nurturing, incubating some companies, whether it's on project management side or on construction side. Financing is obviously an evolving field from that perspective. Like even from Colliers perspective, we have a project management business, and we have our own platform which involves in robotics, which does day-to-day construction, management and all. So I think this is the part of the business, and we are seeing more and more investments, coming in the entire ecosystem of real estate. And what we are seeing is just the tip of the iceberg. I think we'll see, as the time moves, we'll see more and more coming in. And from a new business perspective, we spoke about shared living, shared working space, data center. This again is a technology driven business. It's an extension of real estate, but it's more technology. Here we are seeing huge amount of investments coming in with all the data now to be stored locally, and the India advantage which India brings in. I think it's a huge newer opportunities kind of coming in. I think it's a huge opportunity which possibly we see.
Right. As you rightly said, it's just the tip of the iceberg. And as Darshan also said, we are exploring newer options. But one question to, the question that has come to us is that technology can make it easy to achieve scale, but there are multiple challenges such as fragmented real estate market. How do you gain traction and achieve scale in this scenario with or without the help of technology? So Darshan, if you would like to go first.
Sorry, could you please say that? Fragmented real estate market? Could you just say that?
Yeah. So how do you achieve scale? It is a fragmented market. So can technology help, or we can do it without technology? How to go about it?
So I think Mr. Sanjay, towards the latter half of his conversation, did mention that real estate is a very local business. He did mention that because of the limitations that the business inevitably has. So technology, yes, can optimize efficiencies in terms of your operational efficiencies, in terms of planning, etc. at this stage. but it could also help with selling to a completely different set of audience. But in terms of entering new markets, I would probably have my reservations with that at this point in time, because again, real estate is a very person-oriented business as it stands today. It's not been optimized to levels where technology will be able to enhance your opportunities to go enter new various markets. Because at the end of the day, as much as we probably dislike it or like it, it is a very localized business. And Mr. Sanjay did have a very valid point as to the need for professionalism in family-oriented businesses as well, because that will be the right, those professionals will be the right people to bring in their strengths and probably lay the groundwork for real estate companies to thrive and grow in a changing business environment today.
Right. So professionalism is one thing that professionalism can help in that to gain traction, to scale up. Technology has its limitation, probably in newer markets, it's more customer centric and people centric approach would work. Piyush, what would you like to add? When I think it would also differ from segment to segment, probably residential, commercial, and other segments. But our technology is there, but how ready are the real estate stakeholders for that?
No, so I think Sapna, adoption of technology is no more good to have. It's a must have. If one does not adopt technology, you can't market, you can't sell effectively, you can't raise capital, you can't project manage, you can't construct. Right now, for example, for any project to be economically viable, you have to execute maybe say in 3 years' time. Else you will start incurring losses, right? Now, to do that in 3 years' time, you have to construct fast, you have to sell fast in the most optimum way. Now, that is only possible when you use best of the technology, right? Whether it's for construction, management, marketing, sales, using AR, VR tools. Darshan, spoke very elaborative in the early part of the discussion, right? So this is a must-have, and hence, if you see in last 5 years, there has been a huge consolidation in the entire real estate industry. The number of developers, what they were in all the markets, this is not for cities, specific. It's in all the markets, they have maybe 1/10 of developers have remained. Now, who all have remained, who are, better governed, professionalized, better balance sheets, and who have kind of adopted to the changing ecosystem. Whether it's talk about transparency, adoption of technology, the customer needs have changed. You have to, whether it's your office customer or whether it's a residential customer, the way a customer now looks at things, he's a boss. So now you have to look from a customer's mindset and then design everything. So all those who have kind of, embraced this transformation and change are here to stay. Else, people will be out of the business, and hence what we have seen, the huge consolidation is because of this. And I would say it's a good result. Now what we have are the good, well governed, maybe technology driven, we can call them, right, but who are the torchbearer of change of the entire real estate industry.
Right. So I think it's not only technology in isolation, but it has to be the overall thing, your financial discipline.
And also another point is the regulatory, being in transparency. Today there is very hardly any opaqueness. Today, in any part of India, you want to know in a specific building how many flats are sold, right, at what price they are sold. Everything is available online. Some is because regulatory, and then through regulatory, technology platforms have come in, they have kind of curated to put everything together, so I think the transparency and looking in the customer's interest in mind, I think have been the key drivers.
That's fantastic. So we were talking about building new India, and that is what our speakers have to say. So Darshan, Govindaraju, and Piyush Gupta, a fantastic conversation. I think a lot of valuable takeaways from there, where we did talk about innovation, we did talk about technology, but some of the fundamentals have to be, followed. And I think, as Piyush rightly said, transparency, compliances, and discipline is something that, and be agile to change. I think that is all we need to do if we are looking at the future. Thank you so much, Piyush, and thank you so much, Darshan, for joining us today and for this fantastic conversation that you shared with us.
Thank you, Sapna. Thank you so much.
Thank
Sapna,
you.
thanks, Darshan.
Thank
Like,
you.
Thank you so much.